Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Eat. Today, we're talking about a day in the life. Now, full transparency here. This episode was not what I had planned for this week. I'll be completely honest. This was an episode I wanted to do in a couple weeks. I had some other ideas, but I have had a pretty rough weekend. My Lulu, who for those of you who don't know, she is my almost 8-year-old golden retriever, was diagnosed with cancer on Thursday, and my whole world has just turned upside down. So in the midst of trying to grapple with all of that and just function, function at all, my recording fell to the wayside, and here we are recording now. So this is an easy topic for me to explore. Now, I don't know about you, but I love these kinds of episodes of podcasts that I really love and I enjoy listening to. So I hope that you enjoy this as well. But I want to say I did something similar to this. I think I did about a year ago when the podcast first released. And I'm really excited to share kind of a day in the life revamped because a lot has changed in a year. I'm doing a lot of different things now. So I thought it would be interesting to share with you kind of like an average day. Every day is different. So I can't really say with like certainty that this is uniform and this is every single day of the week. But I just want to kind of walk you through kind of what I like to do, what I prioritize over the course of the day, and kind of give you a little bit of an update on what my life on a day-to-day basis is looking like now moving into 2025. So I wanted to start this episode by being fully transparent because that's what this is about. I'd like to be honest and share what's on my mind and what's on my heart. And it's interesting because I had a family dinner episode released last Thursday, but I didn't know about obviously what was going on until later that day, but that would have definitely been a prominent, there's my Lou in the background if you heard her, that would have definitely been a prominent focus of that episode. Not to bring the mood down by any means, but I'm likely going to be doing an episode all on the holistic strategies that I'm taking to support her body as she moves through this journey. This is a massive pivot from holistic health for humans now moving into holistic wellness for dogs. But if there's anything that I can do using food as medicine and employing supplements and whatnot to at least make her comfortable, reduce inflammation, or extend her life or improve her quality of life, then I'm right there, front and center, going to do it. So that is to come, but just wanted to share that life update. I'll probably share more in a couple weeks when my next family dinner episode releases, more details on that. But I know a lot of you who listen to the podcast reached out to me via Instagram, so I appreciate you. I shared how grateful I was for all the messages, so much support, so much love for Lou. She has been such a huge part of my life since I got her when I was 22, and I can't imagine life without her, so I'm hopeful to see at least a few more months with her, if not more. That would be wonderful, and I will do what I have to do in order to make that happen. So thank you for joining me at the table again. Let's dive into a day in the life and let's eat. Welcome to Let's Eat. I'm your host, Emily, certified holistic health coach, functional nutrition expert, and self-proclaimed wellness enthusiast, here to meet you at the intersection of physical and mental health, the space within which we become well. This podcast is meant to explore all areas of mind and body wellness, designed to offer you the integrative knowledge, behavioral strategies, and mindset shifts necessary to uplevel your health and feel better today. We'll explore nutrition, sleep, movement, self-care and stress management, habits and routines, self-development, gut health, mental health, and more. I am so happy that you're here. Welcome to the table. Let's eat. So, a day in the life. What is a day in the life for me? Now, I'll talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and what it's like running a business. A day in the life for me when I'm working at the restaurant as a bartender. For those of you who don't know, I part-time bartend at a restaurant. I've been there this is going on my 12th year. I'm there towards the end of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are typically devoted to Whole with Emily work. So that can look like client work, that can look like podcasts, that can look like content creation, that can look like a number of different things, whether it's networking or collaborations or marketing. I mean, I do everything. I am a one-man show over here, so everything I'm posting on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the things is me. All my editing is me. My newsletter is me. What else? Everything else is me. And that's not like a poor me. That's a like, yeah, it is all me and I love it. And I love every single second of it. So, I am not complaining whatsoever. I really enjoy it. And I love that I get to put all of my energy into these things and I'm very proud of it. But it does tend to be quite a bit of work. So let's say on an average day, I will usually get up between 5 and 5:30, sometimes closer to 6, just depending on what my morning looks like. I wake up to my Hatch alarm, which I know is very trendy, but I've had it for over 2 years now, I want to say. And I really love it. It's very calming to wake up to. I haven't taken advantage of the night setting. There's like a nighttime wind down routine, but I haven't yet dove into that. And so usually it's just some chimes or some birds chirping, whatever I'm in the mood for, I keep that on. So usually it's about 5:30. I get up. I'm notorious for snoozing, which is something that I work on constantly, especially because Lulu's in the bed with me. And so, she's all cozy and snuggly. And so it makes it much more challenging. And the mornings obviously are very dark and cold and all that. So I get up and I go to the bathroom and I do my oral hygiene. So I am a tongue scraper. I have been a tongue scraper for at least a year now. What most people don't know is gut health and digestion start in the mouth. So if you are willing to invest $10 in getting a tongue scraper, what a game changer that is. Essentially, you're just removing the film of bacteria and buildup that accrues on your tongue over the course of the night. And I'm telling you, the second you start to tongue scrape, you'll never go back simply because you'll be horrified at what comes off of your tongue. So definitely recommend. I don't even know where I got mine from, but there's so many out there. Amazon, you can grab a number of different options. And it's just a great way to start the day. And like I said, once you scrape your tongue for the first time, you'll just never go back. But I do believe, given our oral microbiome and, what happens in the mouth, I think we oftentimes don't pay attention to what's going on in the mouth, not only as the start of our digestion, because digestion actually starts in the brain, but, there's also physiological responses that take place within the mouth that are a part of our digestive process. But once I started learning more about oral hygiene, oral health, especially from Dr. Travato, I will link that episode in the show notes. I don't think that episode got enough exposure. I think it deserves so much more exposure because it was such a good episode. I was so blown away when I first met him and I waited months for him to get on the podcast, and it's so good. It'll completely change the way you see flossing, the way you see brushing, the way you take care of your teeth. I mean, incredible. So I will link that in the show notes. But he's a big fan of tongue scraping and a number of other different, tips and steps to take when it comes to your oral hygiene to support overall health. And of course, prevent cavities and all that good stuff. So after all of that, I will head to the kitchen. And what I've been doing lately is I have been taking liposomal glutathione on an empty stomach, and I've also been doing NAD. Now, I'm in the process of a partnership with the brand that sent these to me. Glutathione is one I've been taking for a while, and this brand approached me as I shared about this brand for a partnership. So that was authentic to me, what I was already using. I actually prefer it over another brand that I really like. Their glutathione is equally as quality. I just prefer the flavor of it. And then NAD was one that I wanted to try. So I'll share a little bit about NAD, but I do take these on an empty stomach. And what I've been drinking with those supplements is molecular hydrogen. The molecular hydrogen that I drink is by Symbiotica, and it's a tablet that you put in your water. It kind of becomes fizzy, really not much taste to it. And the point of this is it helps to support against free radical damage and oxidative stress. And for me, what I learned through my genetic testing is I am very susceptible to this. And oxidative stress results in premature aging, it results in cell damage, it results in a lot of issues, including disease. And so I always want to be sure that I'm proactive about this. Now, eating high antioxidant foods is a great way of doing that. So dark leafy greens and berries, and those are staples in my day. But I really wanted to kick it up a notch and make it more commonplace in my routine because I know my body has a harder time with it. So that is how I usually start the day. On that empty stomach, I'll have the glutathione, NAD, and filtered water with molecular hydrogen. Now, the benefits of NAD, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce the whole word, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. There you go. This is a supplement that's really supportive on a cellular level and helpful for energy production, cellular repair, longevity. It's really popular within the aging conversation. So this was something that I wanted to incorporate just to try. I think once I'm finished with it, I might not continue it. But just out of curiosity, see how I feel, see how it impacts me. More specifically, I'm always aware of how these supplements help my skin, just because, with oxidative stress and oxidative damage and free radical damage and so forth, a lot of that can manifest in premature aging of the skin. And so just out of curiosity to see what kind of impact this had. So both of them are liquid. The liposomal glutathione and the NAD are both liquid. I keep them in the fridge and I take, a spoonful of each. And then my molecular hydrogen, I try and fill that glass up as much as possible so I can get lots of water in first thing. This is one of the easiest things that we can do for a number of reasons, especially to stimulate the liver, to jumpstart digestion, having some water, warm water preferably, add some lemon to it, get a little fancy. That's such an easy start to the day. Now, am I always perfect at this? Absolutely not. I am awake and I have one thing in mind, and that is my matcha or my coffee. Full disclosure, I wish I could drink coffee all day long. I wish I could drink matcha all day long. There is nothing I love more than coffee. And I don't think it's because of the caffeine. I really don't think it's a caffeine thing. I did learn I'm a fast metabolizer of caffeine. So I don't really have an issue as far as, having it too late in the day and being worried about what it's doing to my sleep. I just love coffee. I love the supplements I add to my coffee. I love how I take my coffee. I love the taste of coffee. I love coffee. And, I love matcha. So I would say these are the two best parts of my morning. I kid you not. Two of the best parts of my morning are because I get to drink coffee and matcha. I should just end the episode here, honestly. Just kidding. So after my two supplements, lately I have also been taking this, I'm going to forget what it's called, but it's a blend of different nutrients for inflammation support. There's curcumin in it, which is a powerhouse nutrient. It is the bioactive component or compound in turmeric. There's tart cherry, there's bromelain, there's some other ingredients. So I'm taking that because I had my shoulder issue, which has now resolved, thank goodness. And I'm also taking a female-specific probiotic. This was sent to me by the brand Bond. I don't usually take probiotics. I have mixed feelings on it unless it's intentional. I think, yes, we can take probiotics, and that's wonderful. If we're taking an antibiotic or we're on some sort of gut protocol, yes, for sure. I think they can be useful. But I also, first and foremost, believe in eating fermented probiotic-rich foods before anything. Or choosing a probiotic that's appropriate for you, or just using it when it's necessary. I don't think that we need to ongoingly be taking probiotics. And the reason I say this is because, and while I don't think there's any harm to it, I think you can be putting your money into other supplements and other things that you're buying, as opposed to buying a good quality probiotic, which, spoiler alert, finding a good quality probiotic is important. Getting a $10 probiotic from CVS is not the move. So definitely recommend doing your research on probiotics, knowing if it makes sense for you, choosing real foods first, because you're going to get so much more from a spoonful of sauerkraut or kimchi than a capsule. I'll put it out there. And I don't know if I said this, but finding a good quality, finding a good brand. So the reason I'm taking this is because they were sent to me. So I love them so far. They're meant to support vaginal, reproductive, digestive, and one other, I forget what it says, but it says a 4-in-1 probiotic. And what I love about them the most is they're pink. So the capsules are pink. So I think that's so fun. But yeah, I'm a big fan. I really like it. I might repurchase. That was Lou. I might repurchase once I'm done with it, but I like just knowing I'm giving my body a little extra support, especially because I do believe in the brand Bond. I think they're great. They sent me one of their products last year, and I've actually recommended to a lot of clients the brand as they transition off of birth control, as they're trying to support their cycle. I think it can be a really great resource, a really great option, because they're very specific to women's hormone health, and I really appreciate how they formulate their product, because they have the gut in mind, they have the liver in mind, so all of these pieces are so important when it comes to our hormones, especially coming off of birth control. So that's what I've been taking, both of those. I also have been taking intermittently beef organs, and I've really enjoyed that. This is one that's specific for women. It's called Her Organs, maybe? Or Her, I forget what it is. I'm so bad at this. I'm so sorry. But the brand is Heart and Soil, I believe is what it's called. And it's basically a couple different types of organ meat in a capsule. I really believe in this as kind of like an alternative to a multivitamin. So, very big fan. I like this brand a whole lot. I listened to the podcast, or an episode of a podcast with the founder on it, and it really opened my eyes to their mission and what exactly it is that they're doing and what they believe in. So I was taking that, or I do take that, but that's not always on my roster as far as the day goes, because I just, it becomes way too many supplements, way too many capsules. It's just a lot. So once I've taken that with the water that I now had for my molecular hydrogen, I will make myself a matcha. And usually it's my matcha that I start with because I love it. I do have an espresso machine, so I'll use that as well, depending on what I'm in the mood for. But usually my matcha is my first choice. My matcha is by Peak. I don't shut up about Peak. I'm obsessed with Peak. They're the best. So I will link them in the show notes if you want to try them. But what I've been doing is I'll typically do my Peak matcha, one packet of it in some warm water. And then I'll add in my magnesium L-threonate by Symbiotica, which has been such a game changer, because truthfully, I don't care to take the packets just as they are. If you're not familiar, Symbiotica creates supplements that are in their liposomal form. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And this makes them more bioavailable in the body. So I really appreciate it, because absorption is huge and it's not talked about enough. And what they always say, you aren't what you eat, you are what you absorb. So if you're eating things or even taking supplements and you're not absorbing them, then what's the point? If your body's not utilizing it and you're just flushing it out of your system, then what's the point of it? So choosing supplements that are highly bioavailable is a priority. And this magnesium happens to be just that. So I've been mixing that into my matcha, and it is the perfect sweetness. It is such a hack, because now I'm not adding any kind of sweetener to my matcha, just simply this packet that also has nutrition in it, and I love that. So I've been adding that in, and sometimes I'll add some of the other ones, but that's usually my regular choice. And then I'll do a scoop of collagen, or I've had colostrum. I've done a couple different add-ins if I'm feeling ambitious, but usually it's just the collagen and the magnesium. I will froth that, and then usually on top I'll do almond milk and coconut milk. Those are my two favorites. So I'm very particular about my matcha. Now, before this, I try my very best to do some sort of protein. Usually yogurt is my first and foremost choice because it's the easiest and there's not much preparation to it. And I'll do a yogurt with some berries or pomegranate, with pumpkin seeds, almonds, maybe hemp seeds, granola, really kind of do it up. But prioritizing protein and or something to eat before my caffeine is a priority, yet a struggle. It is something that I work on all the time because, like I said, all I want is my cozy matcha, and I really don't have a huge appetite in the morning. It's not like I wake up hungry. So this is not always the easiest, but I know of its importance, so I make it happen. So once I have my yogurt and I have my matcha, I'll typically go sit on the couch and read my book or do my gratitude journaling. I use the 5-minute journal that is linked in my storefront. I've been using it for over 2 years now, probably going on 3 years, and I love it. I think it's such an easy way to practice gratitude, to take a second to focus. I have really lost touch with my meditation practice, and that is something that I am calling myself out for right now because I was so consistent with it. I was doing so well, and I just lost my groove, lost my rhythm, and now it's been weeks, and I've had intermittent meditations happen, but I've really kind of stepped away from the Peloton too, not because I don't like it, but because I've been doing so much more Pilates that I haven't needed the Peloton, which is kind of sad because number one, I have to keep my streak going, and that's really important. But I just, was using the Peloton so much, and now it's just something I look at. I'm looking at it right now as I record this episode, just something I look at. But tomorrow I'm excited because I'm doing a boot camp, and I haven't done like a good solid boot camp, which is my favorite on Peloton. If you're a Peloton user, Jess Sims boot camps, my favorite. Top workouts of all the workouts of Peloton. I do like Tune Day a lot too. So Tune Day and Jess Sims, those are my two favorites. But I haven't done heavy weights because I was hurt. My shoulder was hurting, so I couldn't. And I've also just been doing so much Pilates, which is all body weight. So I'm excited to get back to that tomorrow and do a full workout. So what was my point here? Oh, meditation. So meditation, has kind of taken the back seat. So I really need to get back to that. So this is me reminding myself of that, and hopefully I can ease back into doing it more regularly. But on the couch, I'll typically do gratitude journaling. Once it's nice out, I am out on the deck as soon as possible. Lou and I are out there watching the sunrise on the deck with my blanket. Once it's warm out, I can sit out there. That is the best. I love my deck. I really love it. Lou loves it too. So can't wait to be out there again with her. And I am confident that she'll be here with me to do that. Now I'm thinking all of these thoughts of, what's been going on. But yes, I'll be out there with her, and that's where I can meditate, I can journal, and really center myself. I've also been reading, which has also been a goal of mine for 2025 to be more consistent, which is tough. It's not always the easiest. I really have to be intentional about setting my time aside, but that's really, really important to me. So I'll read. Or, as most of you know, I've been working through my functional diagnostic nutrition program. So that is typically what I jump to because I just love it and I love learning. But I'm really trying to hone in and say, Emily, give yourself at least 15, 20 minutes to read. Just give yourself some time to read. Enjoy that time. You can work on it afterwards. So that's also me talking to myself to just slow down and enjoy and be present and have the time in the morning to myself because I can work on my schooling later. So usually about this time, I'll also bring Lou outside because she has to go out. And during the warmer months, I really try to take advantage of walking with her. So there's a spot in my complex that's really nice that we can kind of sit, she can kind of run around a little bit, and the sun rises right there. So that's always really nice. But we'll usually do a loop as the weather gets warmer, which we're still in the dead of winter. So I'm being a little ambitious here. But once we get into warmer weather, I really want to focus on prioritizing that first thing in the morning is not just taking her out and kind of taking a stroll, but really walking at least a loop around the complex. Just because it's so good for both of our circadian rhythms. It's good to get moving. It's good to get her moving. The sunlight is really important. It's good for hormone health and, all of the things, and really setting aside the 15 minutes that it takes to loop around my neighborhood is nothing. And I always listen to a podcast or even a meditation or affirmations. And it's a really great way to start the day. I just get a little impatient and don't allow myself to do it. So now I'm going off and into the ideal day. But as soon as the weather gets nicer, that will be the plan, and that will be a part of my day. So coming back inside, like I said, reading, doing my functional program, whatever, whatever's on the agenda. Then depending on the day and depending on what my workout looks like, usually that's when I'll work out, is usually late morning, maybe mid to late morning. And if I'm doing Pilates, then that depends on the class time. Today, for example, I taught Pilates this morning. Usually I'll go to a class in the evening, but today I'm just kind of in my head a little and I'm just choosing not to go tonight. So we're not going tonight, but tomorrow I'll do a Peloton workout. So usually if I'm not doing anything Pilates related, I'll do my workout. Usually it's mid-morning because otherwise it's not getting done. Usually it's mid-morning, and if it's not getting done then it's not getting done at all. So I'll usually do a workout. Like I said, love 45-minute boot camps, really focusing on strength training. I do much less cycling now. When I first got the Peloton, that was kind of the only area that I had explored. But now, especially as I've learned so much more about the importance of muscle mass and strength training and so forth, strength training is always happening for me. I rarely do more than, unless I'm doing a boot camp, which is a blend of cycling and strength. If I'm just doing strength, it'll be a 5 or 10 minute cycling warm up, and everything else will be strength. So that will always be my priority, just because, like I said, much more important that I'm building muscle mass than just the cycling. The cycling is cardiovascular, which is important, but not as important as the muscle mass. So from there, I'll usually have a smoothie. As most of you know, I love my smoothie, and I have it every single day, whether or not I work out. And it allows me to get some good protein in. I get my antioxidants in. I got some healthy fats, all that wonderful nutrition. And then usually that's when I start the day. Usually about mid-morning is when I start to see clients as well. So depending on how many clients I have, that will obviously determine the course of the day. I try my very best, and this is not something I'm that good at, but I'm working on it. I try to put all my clients in a matter of like 1 or 2 days so that I am not scattering my focus by doing clients and then shifting to other work and then back to clients. It's a lot for the brain, and it's really not the most effective way to work. So I have to set boundaries with this because I'm not the best with setting boundaries. I'm very fluid in terms of, well, if I'm free, and a client wants to be seen at this day, this time, why not? But really getting to a point where these are my parameters, this is when I see clients, and holding myself to that will really help with my productivity. So client work is important, but other than that, I do podcast recordings. I schedule all of my own Facebook posts. I usually do Instagram from day to day. I don't ever schedule that out. So that's just, usually just day to day. I make choices on what I'm posting. Content creation has been more prominent for me. So that has been a lot of fun with different brands and showcasing different products that I love, or getting creative with the content that I'm making. So that is also a part of my day. I've been working for the university as well. So the university is having me create curriculum for their clinical mental health counseling program, which is entirely remote. So I've been working away at that since the fall. So that takes a big chunk of my time, to the point where usually I have to dedicate a good day or half day to it, because once I get into the headspace of it, I need to stay in that headspace. It's not something that I could just open up right now and say, oh, I have 10 minutes. I might as well, take some time to do it. It requires not only recording, so I have to record myself, but I'm also creating resources and finding information and attaching, studies and doing all of this additional work that my brain has to be in that headspace in order to do it. Otherwise, it's useless. So that is something that I try to dedicate a chunk of time every week to, because I'm working at my own pace and trying to get on top of that and get it done. So that is also a work in progress, one of my bigger projects. And once this is done, I'll just have tons and tons of time. No, I'm just kidding. I will have more time, which will be nice, because then I can put more time into my schooling. But for right now, it's definitely my most time-consuming responsibility. And it's been great. It's been a great experience, and I'm excited to hear how it's received. So usually about this time I'll have lunch, and lunch is typically later, because if I'm having my smoothie, that can typically keep me full for a while. So, I'll have any number of things for lunch. Today I had a late lunch. I had scrambled eggs with some chicken sausage and some kimchi. So that can be lunch. I can have something meal prepped. I really like ground beef in bone broth rice and kimchi and cheese and microgreens, and like doing this weird bowl of sorts. But usually it's either something I've prepped, or it's, eggs. It's all over the place. It's literally all over the place. So that is always up in the air. There's no rhyme or reason to that. But usually around this time, I'll also do a bone broth hot chocolate, or I'll do a cup of herbal tea. So once my window of time for coffee and matcha is done, sometimes I'll do a latte. Actually, that's not true. I should have said I do a latte usually about mid-morning. Usually it's either during my workout, or there's nothing better. I'm going to give this a moment of silence before I say this, because this is literally one of my favorite things. There's nothing better than a matcha or a coffee after a workout. Just feeling so good after a workout, and then knowing I can have... Oh, do you think I need to get checked out? Is this weird? I just love a cozy latte coffee. Oh my God, sign me up. Give me all of it. And I swear it's not about the caffeine. It's about how much I love the taste of it. So what I've been doing lately, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. I'll do 2 shots of espresso, and I will add Symbiotica's longevity mushrooms into it, which is actually funny. I just started Lulu on some mushrooms for her health. And so those are also for longevity. But anyways, they're longevity mushrooms. I'll add that to my espresso. Sometimes I'll do Symbiotica's Shilajit as well. I talked about Shilajit back in the fall. Sometimes I'll do collagen. The list goes on. But what I've been doing is I've been into raw milk lately. So I will add ice, and then I will pour raw milk over it. I didn't do that today, which I'm questioning now why I didn't, because I love it so much. But I will be doing it tomorrow, now that I think about it. And it's truly the best. I love it. So I wish that could last all day long. But when the time comes and it's later in the afternoon, and caffeine and coffee and all that is all said and done, I will do an herbal tea. I've been loving peppermint tea lately. That's nothing new, but I've just been loving it across the day. And I also do a dandelion root tea, or an everyday detox tea that's by Traditional Medicinal. So there's always usually intention to it. I'm not like a black tea person. Rarely do I have green tea. I just have my matcha. But I'll do like a lemon balm, which is good for the nervous system, good for digestion. I'll do dandelion, like I said. Ginger tea is great. Peppermint tea. So like to have one of those options at some point in the day, just as a pick-me-up, something cozy to warm up to. Or I will do a bone broth hot chocolate, because you know how I feel about my bone broth hot chocolate. I did get sent Kamana, which is a coffee alternative. I may have mentioned this in last week's episode. I am now partnered with them because I really appreciate its low acid, no caffeine, and it's personally what I find to be the best alternative to coffee that I've had so far. I've tried a lot of them, and this is definitely the best. It brews like a coffee. So I'll also do that because that gives the experience of, here I am trying to cut corners and cheat the system. I'm having a coffee that's not a coffee, so I can have it later on. But I've been doing that too. I've been adding some fun supplements to that, or collagen to that, or whatever the case is, and adding that into my rotation. So that is also something that I'll sometimes do as well. My life and my day, the day in the life should have just been, here's a series of beverages that I have every day. I completely forgot. I also have my electrolytes. So I have that usually with my workout, or if I'm not working out for the day, I'll have it in the afternoon as a pick-me-up. But I do love my electrolytes. I get those paired with my matcha. So you can get that from Peak. Their Radiant Skin Duo is the best. I'm obsessed with it. So usually about this time, I'll also bring Lou out. I've been trying to get out more regularly. Obviously, once the weather is nicer again, it's much easier. But you know how I've been feeling about my walks. And so into the spring, summer, and into the fall, those become so much more routine and so much more frequent, to the point where I feel like Lou is probably like, wait, we're going out again? We're walking again? It's like, girl, you don't have to come with me. You can stay back, but of course I could never do that. She's my favorite walking partner. So usually about this time I'll also go out for a walk because it's due for Lou to go out, and what a difference walks have made in my day and my productivity and my focus and my energy when I intermix them throughout the day. It has changed everything for me. What a game changer. So I definitely recommend that for sure. But it wasn't until I started doing them regularly that I realized, holy cow, like this really just rejuvenates my focus. I feel more inspired. I feel more motivated. And what a huge impact it's had on my day and my schedule. And, something I really do believe in, to add in some education into this episode outside of just talking about my day, what we know is we really want to focus on incorporating more organic movement throughout the day as opposed to just one singular workout and then sitting still. Now, that's not to say that's not as effective. Let me rephrase that. That's not to say that that's not effective, but what we know is incorporating organic moments in your day to 5 minutes, 10 minutes of a walk here, or walking up and down the steps, or just standing up and walking around your building or your home or whatever. That is more valuable than just working out for 45 minutes and then sitting down all day. So it's interesting, right? Because I would argue then, if you are working out in the morning and sitting all day, that is less effective than not working out in the morning and just prioritizing, say, every other hour to go for a 10, 15-minute walk. I don't want you to quote me on that, but just what I know about how valuable it is to make movement so much more organic in your day, I would say that there's probably more efficacy to that because you're getting movement more regularly, as opposed to I'm just working out this one static chunk of time and then I'm just sitting all day long. So it's something to think about. It's not to say that you have to, abandon ship on your responsibilities just so you can go walk and exercise and so forth. But it's something to consider that if you are working out in the morning, or you're just working out one time and then you're sitting all day long, there's something to be said about how that impacts you from a health perspective in comparison to making movement more organic more regularly. So just because of that, and because of what I know it does for my focus and my mood and my energy and all that, that has been a big priority of mine, is incorporating movement more regularly. This benefits me beyond measure. It benefits Lou. There's just no downside to it. So really disciplining myself to say, all right, Emily, get up. You haven't stood up in an hour and a half, whatever. Go outside, get some movement in. You will feel 100 times better. Yes, it's 10 minutes out of your day, but it makes for a more productive rest of your day. And that to me is worth it. Investing that 10 minutes for an additional 3 hours of productivity, like no brainer. So that will usually take place. And then usually later on, I will sometimes have sessions, but I will work I don't know. I really don't have the best boundaries when it comes to my workday. It's not like, oh, close the laptop at 5 and I'm done. Usually it's tying up loose ends later on, or running an errand, or doing any number of things, whether it's checking out food journals from clients or returning emails, or I have this window of time between usually 3 and 5 that I kind of feel like a lull. And then for whatever reason, come 5 o'clock, I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's get back to work. And now I'm all ready to rock. So don't really understand that. But I thought, you know what? If no one is dictating my work hours when it comes to working for myself, I might as well take advantage of the times that I'm feeling most motivated. So with that said, usually around that time, I'll continue to work, whether it's planning something or I don't know, any number of things. I know this is like super vague and I'm not really very descriptive here, but it will be working on a project, making to-do lists, writing out captions. I don't know. There's so many different things that I do. Recording another podcast. I mean, outside of my one-on-one work, there's just so much that I do administratively, and then also for other related tasks within my business. So that can really look like a number of things. So that's usually the latter end of my day. And then about this time, I will also start planning for dinner. Now, dinner is usually a meal that's already planned, something I have in the fridge. I've been really, really slacking on recipes and really showcasing meals. I've been loving, this is so strange. This whole episode, I'm just like exposing myself for the weirdness that I am. I've been loving like a mid-afternoon dark leafy green salad. Now hear me out. I think dark leafy greens are among some of the best things that we can be eating for ourselves. And not only for blood sugar health, but the nutrient density of dark leafy greens is just unlike any other. It's so good for you. And I typically prefer just like a very simple salad, especially when you give me a good balsamic. Like I love balsamic dressing, but it has to be a really good one. And I make my own and I really love it. So I'll just have my leafy greens with my balsamic on it and I'll be good to go and I'll be happy, and that works. That works for me. I have lately been using organic blue cheese crumbles, some slivered almonds, maybe some pumpkin seeds on top, and it's just made for such a delicious afternoon snack. Like I would consider that a snack because there's no protein really in it. It's kind of just a bunch of fiber, which is wonderful for you, but it's not really going to fill me up. You know, it's not going to be like a primary meal for me. So that's been something I've been having in the afternoon. It's so bizarre, but it's actually really good. 10 out of 10 recommend. And your body will thank you, and your brain. I mean, I would say, and I don't like to play favorites, but dark leafy greens and even cruciferous vegetables, so you know, food like broccoli and Brussels sprouts and all that, some of the best things that you can be giving your body. Some of the very best things. So 10 out of 10 recommend making those more of a regular part of your day, but also a mid-afternoon green salad. Nothing better. Okay? And then later on, like I said, for dinner, it's always something different. I've been doing a lot of red meat, which I love. I haven't done a lot of salmon, but like I said, when I came back from Florida, I kind of lost my groove. And I haven't yet recovered from it. It's coming on to a month that I've been home now, maybe 3 weeks. And I haven't yet gotten to a point where I feel I've kind of found a rhythm. I think a big part of that is I've been working on Sundays at the restaurant. And that really takes away a lot of time for me to prep and to plan. And I go to the grocery store without a plan. And that is a little stressful. So coming into this next month, especially, I want to be more intentional. I just did a massive grocery haul at Whole Foods yesterday. So now I'm stocked for the week, but I still don't feel like I have any real meals planned. So goal for the remainder of February is to really invest my focus in meal planning and prepping and having actual recipes to share with you all and to utilize, because I have just been so inconsistent with that. And that's something I love and I want to, show that. And for me, I think I get into a rut where it is easy for me to just throw some things together and say, all right, this works because I have my protein, I have my fat, I have all I need. And that's perfectly okay. But that also not only keeps me from sharing good recipes, which I know a lot of you enjoy, but it also keeps me in a very monotonous spot with food. And diversifying our food is one of the best things that we can do nutritionally so that we're getting a wide array of nutrition into our diets. And if we're choosing the same foods or the same vegetables or whatever the case is, that can obviously keep us from that. So planning can be a great way to avoid this, to ensure you're keeping things exciting and diverse and whatnot. So absolutely recommend diversifying your meals. And this is me holding myself accountable to diversity. Now, after dinner, typically I'm still on my computer for whatever reason. And I try to cut myself off. But usually then, once again, I'll feed Lou. I'll take Lou out. And like I said, some nights I've been going to Pilates. So that's really changed my evenings because it's usually later and that kind of throws me off. And I always want to eat after I work out. But on the night that I'm not in Pilates, I will usually wind down with probably cleaning of some kind because I feel like I always have to clean my kitchen. I am a terror when it comes to my kitchen and making meals and so forth. So that's always something that I have to do. And then I always feel like there's just not enough time in the evenings because ideally I would be in bed at like 8 o'clock. But there's always so much that I want to do. I want to wind down with. Baths have been my new favorite thing, especially with my shoulder. So that has been something that I've been trying to prioritize. But that's always a production, because it's setting the bath, getting it ready, getting in the bath, spending adequate time in the bath. You know how it goes. So sometimes it's a bath. Other times it's just my book. And I'd love to get back into a practice of journaling at night. That's not something that I've ever been really strong with, but I'd love to be able to do that. So that's maybe something I should, start to put on the forefront and make a priority. But usually it's just my time to read and I'll have a cup of tea. Usually it's sleepy time tea, or lately it's mostly been peppermint tea, which has been so lovely for digestion. So that is usually my choice. I'll have either a square of dark chocolate if I'm in the mood. I'm really not a dessert person anymore, so that's not something that I necessarily have every night, but do love a square of grass-fed chocolate from Hugh Kitchen. Big fan. Or their dark chocolate. Either their grass-fed milk or their dark chocolate. And usually I'll do my red light therapy mask. I'm big on skincare, so that's by Dr. Dennis Gross. And I'll get in my comfies and get into bed. And that's about it. Do my skincare. Very big on my skincare. I will set my hatch. I'll do a Peloton meditation for sleep usually. And then I'll just fall asleep right to that. It takes me 5 minutes to fall asleep now. So usually that doesn't last very long. But it's nice to just regulate my breathing a little bit while I'm laying there. And something I've been doing, which I really don't know if this is a safety hazard, so don't come for me, but I've been sleeping with my heating pad, and I've heard people do this before, but it also says on the warning not to do that, not to sleep on it. I guess it is technically a fire hazard, but the heating pad that I had was probably, I don't even know the estimate. It was like an average size heating pad. And I found at Target, they had one that was like twice the size. So this guy is like a blanket. This is a big not blanket, but it's a big heating pad. So I started sleeping on it when I was having back issues in the fall. And then I started to kind of become attached to it because it felt really nice when I was sleeping because I was hurting. But then I just grew to love it. So now I'll sleep with it. And it really is so cozy. Now, this probably is a fire hazard and there's probably some danger to it. So I probably should stop doing it. But that's something else that I really love. And what else? There's something else I feel like that's on my bedside. Oh, my magnesium oil by Symbiotica. I will link that in the show notes. I love that. The bottle that I've had, I swear to God, has lasted me for months. It's like never ending. I'm constantly wondering, when is this bottle going to run out? And I've been doing it all over my body. I do it on my chest, on my torso, and my belly button. I did it on my back. And when I was having my shoulder problems, I was massaging it into my back. That was wonderful. I love it. I love it so much. It's transdermal, so it is immediately absorbed into the bloodstream. And Huge fan. That's so nice to wind down with. So my tea, my magnesium oil, I feel like I'm missing something, and sometimes I'll do a castor oil pack. I don't think I've mentioned this. I'll do a castor oil pack. I do shower at some point during the day. I forgot to mention, I'm just thinking because I have a dry brush. So sometimes I'll do dry brushing. I don't always remember my dry brush, but castor oil packs were something that I started using in the fall over the summer. That was Lou. Now that Lou is sick, she is welcomed. I mean, I think she was always welcomed in these podcasts, but I would always try to stop and edit her out because it was disruptive, of course. And now I'm thinking, you know what? She's welcome whenever she wants. Anyways, castor oil packs, those are really great for detox. So I wear those sometimes. They tend to be a little messy, and that really turns me off from them. But I did notice a difference in my body and how I felt when I was using them. So ideally I would do it 2 times a week, but I don't always get to it. But all of my supplies for that are linked in my storefront if you're interested in learning more about castor oil and its value. You can also just put castor oil in your belly button too before bed. You don't have to use a whole pack if you want to just get started and try it. But like I said, the castor oil I use is on my Amazon storefront. And then from there, usually it's about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then I'm off to the races. We're off to bed. I have my Oura Ring now, so I get to track my sleep. And that's a day of my life, my friends. I feel like that wasn't the most eventful day, and maybe in a year from now, we'll manifest this. I have some like crazy, outrageous, eventful day that is just, you know, I've got so many things going on and it's just so exciting. But I just wanted to share kind of like a lighthearted episode, easy for me to record, doesn't require me to put a whole lot of thought into it, just to kind of give you a little bit of an update as to what's been going on in my day. Now, as I said, when it comes to working at the restaurant, typically that will look like getting up probably a little bit earlier because I have limited time in the morning, and then I do a workout always. That is one thing that I swear by, is a workout before I go to the restaurant. And one might think, well, Emily, you're on your feet all day. Why do you do that? My energy levels are night and day when it comes to working out before I bartend and then not working out. So that is something I make a priority. More of my rest days fall earlier in the week. Usually Tuesday, Wednesday are my rest days because typically Monday I'm in Pilates. Sundays too, but if I'm at the restaurant, I'm working out. Not always, I don't push myself if I need a rest day, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you can almost bet I'm always going to be exercising because of the fact that I go to the restaurant, and it makes an enormous difference in my mood too. I'm so much more pleasant after I've exercised. And that is so important to me. So my mornings typically look very similar they are very similar. I do see clients before I go into the restaurant. I go in the restaurant, and then after dinner or after work, it's a mad, dash to get home, make dinner, and then I'm in bed. So that typically Thursday, Friday, Saturday are just a blur because it's just work, home, sleep, work, home, sleep, work, home, sleep. And then I have a little bit more flexibility on the days that I'm working for myself. But right now, the season of entrepreneurship that I'm in, I really love. I remember talking to another girl, this was last week, and she is kind of in the beginning stages of her business. And she said, I'm just kind of I'm having a hard time finding what to do. And I remember feeling that way in the beginning stages of my business. I only had a few clients, if, maybe 1 client, 2 clients. And it almost felt like, okay, so what do I do now? Like, I don't have anything to fill my time. Now, I don't have enough time in the day. I'm doing far too many things, but I feel very good about my flow and my rhythm, and I love what I do. I don't think I said that once in this episode. I was made for entrepreneurship. Not to get too deep here. I was made for entrepreneurship. I was made to create and to build and to expand and to challenge myself. Like, I know I was made for this. Now, I know I was made for health and wellness, but I know especially it was made for entrepreneurship and owning my own business and having the freedom. It is no easy feat. Let me tell you, this has been the hardest thing I've ever done, and there's still so much I need to learn and to do and to grow, and so many more places that I want to go. So don't get me wrong, the journey is ongoing, but I am so grateful to do what I do. I feel so proud of myself for building what I've built. And I'm just excited to continue to see where it takes me and what I'm able to do and what becomes of my business and my work, because it really is everything to me. I love it and I'm so excited for it. And I feel very lucky. So I hope that sharing a day in the life, I don't really know what the point is. I mean, I know for me, I just love these types of episodes when it comes to podcasters that I love. And it's always changing, right? It's always changing. And everything that I share with you as far as a day in a life goes, obviously I was making jokes and making fun of myself and whatever, but so much of my day, I've curated it based on how it makes me feel. So if I'm going to send you off with anything, it is not for you to compare. It is not for you to feel bad about your day if it doesn't look this way. I'm just kind of a psycho. And this has been over the course of time, and it's looked differently from year to year, from month to month. So yes, that's also important to consider. But if anything, one of the biggest takeaways that I want you to consider is, how are the steps throughout my day? How is my routine? How are my habits? How does a day in my life make me feel? What are the habits that I'm choosing? What are the routines that I'm following? And how are they impacting me physically and mentally? Because that is something I'm proud of. I'm not trying to say that every moment of the day I feel wonderful. Today I did not feel very, very great. Emotionally, it was a hard day. And that's okay. But what I lean into are the good habits that bring me peace, that ground me, that help fill my cup, that nourish me. And the more that you can fill your day within reason, right? Within a space that is realistic for you and what your schedule looks like, in a way that fills all of those I don't know what's the word I'm like, that checks all of those boxes. All right, let's pivot here. Checks all of those boxes, nourishes you, fills your cup, calms you, grounds you, whatever that looks like for you, the better quality life that you'll have, and the better productivity you'll find, the happier relationships you'll find. Everything will be better. So I challenge you to look at a day in your life. This is so unplanned, but this works. I love this. Look at your day in the life and consider, what are the things I'm doing that are filling my cup? What are the things I'm doing that are emptying my cup? What are the things that I'm doing that are draining me, that are not serving me, that are making me feel worse? And how can I start to address those habits and those parts of my routine in order to create a different outcome, to create a better outcome? Because like I said, every single thing I do, for the most part, I would say 85 to 90% of what I do is because it helps me feel good. And I think so many of us are doing so many things that don't help us feel good. And it's until we have the awareness around them that we can actually make a change. So that's your homework assignment. Like I said, this episode's not meant for you to compare. It's not meant for you to feel badly. It's simply to evoke or to invoke some sort of drive or reflective opportunity, or help you ignite awareness around your day-to-day so you can make improvements and invest in areas that are going to help nourish your mental and your physical health. Okay? So thank you for being here. I truly love this space. I know you know that already, but I'm telling you again, this is my favorite. Don't tell anyone else. Don't tell Instagram. Don't tell anyone else. Don't tell anyone else. This is my favorite. The podcast is my favorite. And I hope that this brings some light into your day. And I will see you next week at the table. And in the meantime, be well.